welcome back to another SuperCoach video with me, JD. You are joining me for the round 14 review. The third bye round is done. We've just got the one more to go, which is good. We're getting close to finishing our teams, and the rookies really let us down, I think, this week. It's probably the big calling card after they did so much for us last week, but the week that we really need them, they fell over, and that's why we try and get these rookies off the field the best we can. But let's jump into it and so much more. Firstly, my team, I did 1964, which dropped me 127 ranks, so a pretty reasonable drop. I mean, that's like kind of adding 50% onto my old rank, so that's a pretty serious drop. I'd say 30k round rank. But somewhat expected. I mean, I was down a Primo, and then, I've got like all of Oliver, Petrarca, Merritt, Laird. So like, all these top premium mids, but they've all got this buy round. So kind of just had to wear it this week. And then hopefully the team that I end up with will, for the run home, will end up catching up. So I'll go through my team quickly before I optimize, although I think it's already optimized now, which is unfortunate. I shouldn't have done. Nope, undone. All right, great. So lockout's just lifted. As you said in the last few weeks, this has been buggy, but I'll just quickly go through my team and where it's at. So let me just go through trades last week first. And so this is like my little spreadsheet where I was writing up my buy plans here. And originally what I was going to do was on the left. So I was going to get in Dev Robertson. I didn't, which hurts now just given how well he scored. And then Melican, and then here you can kind of see how these trades played out. It would have left me with 3 trades. And 40k in the bank. And what I decided to instead do is just go to the 102k player in Buller, because it meant that I could kind of get to the same players. I'd have less cash in bank, but I'd have the extra trade at the end of it. And I thought that was going to be the better route to go. We'll see if that plays out. But I mean, yeah, Buller might not get a game this week, which hurts. And the amount of on-field rookies I've got and didn't contribute to my score. So I think this might end up being the worst route, even though I save a trade. Kind of depends on how bad injuries are on the run home. But yeah, I did Weddle and Sharp out for Melican and Buller. I traded Sharp over Davey just because I wanted Davey's DPP and be able to open up some swings, which Sharp doesn't allow for, because in these current trade plans, I'm not getting rid of MJ, which might change after this week's scores. I need to update some of these cash totals, actually, just to figure out if this trade plan will still work. And then Weddle over Mitchell, just because I thought Mitchell might benefit a little bit more this week with Sicily being out, and it's likely that I play him this week and trade out Humphrey instead. So Sicily, yeah, I think Mitchell has a better chance of taking kick-ins, although with CJ back, maybe that's not as much. So I just thought Mitchell might be better on-field points this week. Let me just add in a couple of these. So Sincotta got to 25,600, which is a little bit more than what I had projected. Ford got to 25,400. I'm guessing the magic number stayed a little bit high, which means Doherty's probably going to be higher price as well. Humphrey got up to 40700. Nothing like watching some spreadsheets to really get you excited about SuperCoach. And then Doherty, where's probably still 54, 539,800. Oops. Mitchell basically, as long as he doesn't lose cash, I'll get to Doherty next week. If I proceed with these trades as is, which is good. The only thing that would change, I guess, is if Johnson gets dropped, I might trade him out over one of these two just because it's extra money. Like Sincotta cover's probably handy, but this also spoils trades for the end of the video, so I may as well just do them as we go through this. But going through the team quickly. So in defense, Cats overall were pretty disappointing, and Stewart, I don't think, was any exception to that. Continued to score like all right, just given that they still run a lot of the play through him. Got the kick-ins, got some intercepts, but yeah, otherwise, like, not a notable game. I thought Sinclair was good. Surprised he only ended up on the 102. Traded in Melican, was pleasantly surprised with how he played, to be honest. If I get a couple of 70s out of him and then he goes to my D7 for the year, that's okay. I can't really see him getting dropped on what I saw. He played good enough. I'm pretty worried about them playing West Coast, though, just because there's not going to be a ton of entry into the forward line, so I'm not really sure Melican actually scores that well, although Swans haven't been that good, so maybe West Coast can get a bit of game going coming off the bye. And then Cincotta, he looked good for the parts of the game that I saw. He was nice and attacking with the ball. It's just that they've got so many other good halfbacks, so I don't really run it through him much. But I thought he did enough to hold his spot again. We'll just wait and see. In the midfield, most of my mids did pretty good this week. No real disappointers outside of the rookies. So Bont was absolutely epic. I just love watching him play. My bold call for the preseason that he was going to be M1. And I have a feeling if we look at total player points, which is, I mean, this is a little bit cheating just because he hasn't played his bye and others have. But if we look at total points, for just pure rucks, so no DPP, pure mids, no DPP, he's what, 270 points ahead of the next best, which is Petrarca. And then what? No way is Chera third. I guess he hasn't had his bye yet. Wow, that's crazy though. Yeah, I mean, he's like nearly 300 points ahead. So Bond's been huge. A little bit punished this week because my original vice captain was Dunk into Bont, and Dunkley was good enough to take the 137, which meant that I didn't go with Bont, and I lost out points there. But and that happens. It is what it is. Neil was okay. I mean, Lions were very disappointing again. Actually, Neil was pretty good, to be fair. But yeah, Lions are disappointing. But obviously, loving this score, 144 here. Take that every day of the week. And he's been a good pickup. Brayshaw, I think, did 107 last week as well. So back-to-back 107s. I missed a fair bit of this game. I actually missed a lot of footy this weekend, just for context. It was my boy's third birthday party. So I was out cooking cakes and picking my mum up from the airport, dropping her off at the airport, all that type of stuff. If you want to check out the cake that I cooked, it is on Twitter. It's a dope shark cake, which he loved. Brayshaw back-to-back 107s, which is, for the price I picked him up, it's okay. A little bit sad that Josh Kelly went 160s. Like, there's been a fair few players in the last few weeks, like McRae, Ridley, Josh Kelly, Doherty, like all these guys that I started and had to trade out for one reason or another have all come good. That's just hard. Feels like my starting team was so close this year, but that's all right. At least the process was followed was good. Green had a really good bounce back week, which was nice. Goulden was played in a much better position this week. I'm actually interested to see the CBAs for that Swans game with Park coming back and them still playing Sheldrick in there as well, who was very good, by the way. Green, good bounce back. Humphrey continues to do Humphrey things. I think his break-even must be getting up there, 61. So, I mean, you could hold him for another week and make some more cash, and you should score well against the Hawks. I think I'm going to have to trade because I'm not going to have the cash to hold him. Or maybe I could. I could trade Mitchell and hold Humphrey. No, I'm probably not going to have the rookie to do it. I'm not going to have the downgrade targets to do it. And then Johnson was disappointing. He copped a corky and got subbed out. So I'm a little bit worried about whether he's actually going to play again this week, and he was part of my plans to get 18. And that's going to go hand in hand with Buller, who I traded in, who got subbed out as well and wasn't that good. So I'm also worried about his likelihood of getting a game with Heaney and Buddy to return this week. Probably didn't do enough to hold his spot, especially like someone like McLean or something like that. So Goulden, same amount, but he definitely felt like he was playing more up on the wing this week. Just 34%. Sheldrick was like... So, I mean, for context, I've got him in fantasy where I'm 38 overall. So I watched like Sheldrick pretty closely this week, and he had like 55% time on ground, even though he played the full game. Buller, who got subbed out at 3/4 time, was 55% time on ground. What they did to him was absolutely ridiculous. On his own boot in that third quarter, brought the Swans back into the game, and they just sat him for it felt like another quarter. I don't know what type of management that is, but they need to have him on ball. And I'm worried that that's going to get worse, get even worse with like Nils back. Heaney, I don't think they've put into the midfield when he returns, but yeah, this is just nuts. He was so good, and they've just parked him on the bench for the whole game. And then all bench boys. No Briggs for me in this format. Once again, I got him in the other format, although I'm trading him this week. It was good to see at least English at least match Briggs. But for those that jumped on Briggs, even if you had the English Marshall matchup, I think you got to be happy with it because he's made you 200k real quick. You can move him on this week if it gets you a good premium. I know some people are talking about do I trade out English and keep Briggs instead? I don't love it. I think you want to keep the R1 from here. He's averaging 125. If anything, you probably try and find a way to trade on Marshall instead and then back Briggs to beat him out. But I don't even know if that's necessarily a good play. All I know is if you were a Darcy owner that jumped onto Briggs, you were really thrilled with how he's been scoring, and you just ride that out, I think, for as long as you can. Bank the trade to move him on if you absolutely have to. But yeah, it's good stuff. And then forwards, forwards balled out this week. Dunkley and Toronto were both awesome. Rosie was really good. Cogs was surprisingly good. And then Ford was a little bit disappointing. He needed his money. And I think a lot of people are in the situation where like Johnson and Ford's money were going to like hopefully help them over the next few weeks. It's just not playing out. Wardlaw was another one that was disappointing. His break even still low at 24 because he had the 94 last week, but he looked like he hit a wall this game for sure. And if you need to trade him on, I think you can as well. All right, so I guess let's talk trade targets coming in off the buys. I've been showing who I like for a few weeks now. I think if you're looking at defenders, like obviously Stewart and Sinclair are the ones I've talked about as targets I like. If you're looking for someone cheaper coming off the buy this week, or even someone more expensive. So someone more expensive would be Dawson. If Sicily gets off, Sicily's still a good target. Otherwise, the cheaper ones, I think Will Day, people will start looking at again. This is the price we originally brought him in at. I still think he's like a high 90s kind of average, maybe mid to high 90s average from here. We'll see. He's only gone 92 so far. Otherwise, Ridley's the one people are going to look at, and he's been really good, obviously, since got traded out of the teams or concussed for some others and then traded out, and then he's just been massive these last 4 games. His 5-round average, even with that concussion, 18 is 96, and his 3-round average is 113. Essendon have been playing quite a high possession game through this stretch, and we've actually won all these games as well. So, do you bring him in at 500k? I think if Jake Kelly's still not inside this week, because he was originally out because of concussion, and then kind of got over it and then played 2s. If he's still out, so he's just not best 22 anymore, I think you probably can have a crack at Ridley. If Kelly's back, then all of the Ridley scoring's been done while Kelly's been out, and for whatever reason, I like putting the ball through Kelly a little bit. So that would give me a little bit more hesitation around Ridley. I don't really have him as a top 6 forward from here, but if you are looking for a cheap option, it's as good as any. I guess the other one people might talk about again was Lloyd, who looked better this week. Wasn't playing up on the wing, back into the halfback role. He scored 103, which is okay. Probably should have a look at the kick-ins, especially because Blakey's, just not 100% at the moment. And if he's going to miss it all, or they need to use Lloyd more. He still had a ton of kick-ins. Definitely inflated his score. It was the highest kick-in target for the year because the line's missing a lot. I don't know. I still don't like Lloyd as an option. I probably wouldn't go there. And then I don't think the Freo boys are really options. But yeah, Dawson makes sense. Sicily, if he gets off, makes sense. And then it's going to be the others. Otherwise, as you would have seen, I think targeting Doherty off the buy makes sense at 540k. Or the other one people are going to look at after his buy is Himmelberg, who didn't score that well this week, which is probably nice because it meant that he didn't go up in cash that much. He's still sub 400k. But yeah, still had that role kind of playing loose and even up to the stoppage. But in a game where GWS actually won, he just felt like it was lost a bit. It wasn't playing in his half as much. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's still someone you could look at as a 23rd player. I don't love him as an on-field option. In the mids, you've got your pick of guys coming off the bye this week. So Oliver, Laird, Petrarca, Merritt. I think if you can't get Oliver this week and have to wait a week, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world given he's coming off an injury and the blister. So is he up to match speed, all that type of stuff. Teams off the bye has been pretty bad. He's got a 140 break even. I think you could wait a week if you have to, but if you want to get him this week and it works for your plans, then go for it as well. I'm probably out on Sarong just because of the talk about his ankle issue. I don't know what he scored on the weekend, 84. Yeah, I'd probably stay away. And then Anderson, I think someone that I thought was still somewhat interesting. He scored all right, I want to say, a 106 in a Gold Coast loss. Obviously, they've got a really nice matchup this week with the Hawks, but then after that, it's Collingwood and Port, who have been restrictive this year, to say the least. So maybe avoid on Anderson. If you haven't got Neil, I guess you could jump on him. He looked better this week. Still not amazing. And at 600k, feels a bit riskier now. The other player people might talk about is Parrish, who's returning this week after injury. But this is the type of player I'd rather wait a week on than jumping on just straight out the gate. And that may affect Merritt as well. And then what forwards? There's no one this week apart from Darcy Cameron, really. So was my target for a while, and I think many others are in the same boat, but I think he looks right. This is a great price point for him if we're looking for cheaper options. Otherwise, you're looking at, players like Keys and stuff like that, but I just think Darcy Cameron's a better option than any of these guys. Trade outs, if you've still got Zeeble or Sheasel, I think you can move them on. To be honest, I don't think Cogs is a top 6 forward. I'd rather have he's probably not. I think you could probably move him on as well. Bailey Smith didn't look particularly good and got moved around by Bevo today. Actually, McRae didn't have a particularly good game either. I don't think you could probably move these guys on if you needed to buy flips and players. A lot of people will have to hold, and that's totally fine as well, but just if you're in a situation where you need to. McRae's been good enough that you probably just hold through that. In the midfield, I can't really think of any proper premiums people have that are on their buy that you'd move on. Maybe just stand on those. And then, rookies, I think I already talked about some of them, but Wardlaw, Sincotta, Ford, these types that are on their buy this week are all the easy ones. And then beyond that, it's just about who's made, how do you get to 18, 19, who's made money, who can you get rid of, all that type of stuff. All right, so optimizing my team this week before trades, I've got, 6 in defense. A full midfield. Wait, this doesn't feel right. Let's move Goulden down here. Because the reality is Davies probably not playing. Cogs definitely isn't playing. All right, so 6, that's 8, that's 14, 15 here, and then 16, 17, and then maybe 18 if Buller plays. But he's not going to play. All right, so we need to do some trades this week. There's a lot of people playing in my midfield. What am I going to do for trades this week? Oh, I think I'll move Mitchell forward. Is that right? Oh no, this isn't going to work. Am I going to end up with too many plays in defense? My planning has not been as good as I thought it was. All right, let's get the players I want to get in first. All right, let's get Dawson. Let's get Cameron. And then the only other thing I was really planning was to get a 1 or 2K player. So who is that 1 or 2K player going to be? It's probably going to be Marich. I need to trade out. Who's my last trade at Humphrey? No one else is on buy really that I can do anything about. But if this puts Melican on defense, this probably isn't right. I actually probably just want to get a 1 or 2K loophole instead. Let's just put in Marich for now. Man, the lack of defender downgrades has been so bad. It's just led to some really awkward trades. So I'm loopholing Melican. That doesn't feel right. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But maybe Johnson doesn't play. 15, 16, 17, 18. And then Cameron makes 19. Davey's not playing if we're being realistic. So, and let's just assume Johnson doesn't play either, just so we can see how it looks properly. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Buller probably doesn't play either. So I might only be playing 17 this week, and Melican's stuck in the wrong spot. That's just great. Okay, well, I think that's trades this week. This defense is absolutely scuffed. I might need to get a 1 or 2K swing to get that in. And then the plans for my trade next week with 195K is Mitchell up to Doherty. But maybe he stays, maybe Humphrey stays this week. I get rid of Mitchell instead. We'll see. That might fix some of this weird buy stuff. Okay, I think that's my team for the week. I think that's trades. Oh, vice captain, captain. Let's talk through that. I think I've like quickly given a rundown on players. Otherwise, we'll go into a little bit more in depth on the podcast as we always do. So, Geelong hasn't been good. I could just welcome Clary back with the vice captaincy. St Kilda. Maybe it's not at the Gabba, so I'm less keen on some of the Dogs players. Essendon Freo. I'm not sure I love anyone in that matchup. Adelaide Collingwood. I'm not sure I love anyone in that matchup. So it's probably definitely Oliver then. Maybe it's just Laird because he's been in good form. What's his history like against the Pies? Not bad, but obviously Pies are a different team this year. Though they played once and Laird still scored 100. I mean, Goulden against West Coast seems too risky just because of the variance that he's got. I'm gonna have to figure out the C option this week. I mean, maybe it's just Dunkley again, although that doesn't feel right. Okay, well, that's my team for this week. Trades, what I'm thinking, and all that jazz. Any questions, hit me up down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.